Hello, YouTubers, and welcome to Level-Headed News. This is your host, Brenda. I have 9 articles in this episode for you. All the URLs are in the description of the video for your convenience, and we'll see if the audio comes out good in this so that you can actually hear it. So, kind of experimenting around a little bit tonight to see what is going on with the audio on my vids. But we'll get started here. This first one is off of BizPack Review, and it says, "Whoa, Judge Knapp drops bombshell and claim Obama went outside the chain of command to spy on Trump." Well, this certainly explains why there may be no warrants, and what could be a bombshell report if proven to be true. Fox News Judge Andrew Napolitano said Tuesday that former President Barack Obama may have found a way to spy on Donald Trump without leaving any fingerprints, by using British intelligence. And there's video in this if you'd like to pull it up and take a look at it. It says 3 intelligence sources have informed Fox News that President Obama went outside the chain of command. He insisted he didn't use the NSA, he didn't use the CIA, he didn't use the FBI, and he didn't use the Department of Justice. Appearing on Fox and Friends, Napolitano said the sources claim Obama used GCHQ, a British intelligence and security organization with a 24/7 access to NSA database, according to Fox News, which could mean Obama gets away scot-free if he did indeed order the spying. There's no American fingerprints on this, Napolitano explained. What happened to the guy who ordered this? Resigned 3 days after Donald Trump was inaugurated. Citing personal reasons, the director of GCHQ, Robert Hannigan, resigned on January the 23rd. It's all enough to get folks wondering just who was the collaborating with the foreigners to interfere with the U.S. elections, as one social media user noted. Responses to the breaking news from Twitter. And get the hamster to work with me here. Let's see, I'll give you a couple of them. This one says, "No more Romney, Fox and Friends, and Judge Knapp. You can bet John Kerry was involved." Another one says, "Well, here it is, Senator McCain. Are you going to on TV to admit you're a putz?" Another one says, "Story broken this morning by Fox and Friends that British spies tapped Trump for Obama. This kind of behavior is why Americans supported Trump. Corruption stinks to high heaven." Read them all. But if you want to read them, you can pull this article up and read these for yourself. That's all in that article. The next one is off of BizPack Review. And get the ads to shut down and get the... There we go. House Dems hacking suspects had access to everything. Every email dozens of congressmen sent and received. IT staffers who are the subject of criminal investigation into misusing their positions had full access to members' correspondence, emails, confidential files. There was no tracking of what they did, a former House technology worker said. Imran Awan bullied Central to bend the rules for him so there wouldn't be a paper trail about the unusually high requesting, and their actions were not logged. No way of knowing what information they may have taken, Boy said. Awan ran technology for multiple House Democrats, and soon 4 of his relatives, including brothers of Biz, appeared on the payroll of dozens of other members, collecting $4 million in taxpayer funds since 2010. Police named him and his relatives as subjects of a criminal probe on February the 2nd and banned them from the complex computer networks for whom they worked have downplayed their access or publicly ignored the issue. They had access to everything. Emails, confidential files. If it was stored on member system, they had access to it. The former House Information Resource HIR technology worker with firsthand knowledge of Imran's privileges told the Daily Caller News Foundation. Technology employees who work for members must initially get authority from HIR, a component of the House Chief Administrative Officer, which maintains campus-wide technology systems. There were some things, like access to House email systems, that were totally controlled by HIR. In order for certain permissions to be granted, a form was required to ensure that there was a paper trail for the requested changes. And Rand was constantly complaining that he had to go through this process and trying to get people to process his access request without the proper forms. The conditions he wanted would give him total access to the members' stuff. Or try this again. IT staff at HIR can be tracked they make, the worker said, but by comparison, when these guys were granted access to members' computer systems, there was no oversight or tracking of what they may be doing on them. For example, they could make a copy of anything on the member's computer system to a thumb drive or have it sent to a private server they had set up, and no one would know. That raises questions about why members are so quick to brush off the seriousness of the investigation. Chambers, Chief of Staff for Representative Sander Levin, told the DCNF, after being notified by the House Administration Committee, removed from our payroll. We are confident that everything in our office is secure. IT workers said it for members' offices to make that judgment. Police who are running an investigation that involves cybercrimes and current potential international fugitives, despite their primary duties being security, aren't capable of determining what actually occurred either. This webpage listing their authority, scope of work, and expertise does not mention the word computers. Virginia police report shows that the brother stepmom on them in January, and a relative said Imran has been out of the country attempting to in his deceased father's name, forced her to sign power of attorney documents against her will. After naming them as suspects in a criminal investigation, the Capitol Police have not taken their passports or arrested them. They took a $100,000 loan from a fugitive from U.S. authorities. Al-Attar, and been linked to Hezbollah. Ran technology for Florida Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who resigned as head of the Democratic National Committee after a disastrous email hack she blamed on Russians and had the password to an for DNC purposes. The investigation this way. 5 House staffers are accused of stealing equipment from members' offices without their knowledge and committing serious, potentially illegal violations on the House IT network. The Hill staffers were downplaying the information security component, writing, sources close to the House investigation said the former staffers, while able to view, did not have access to any classified information. And rankled multiple House IT workers who told the DCNF the misleadingly made it seem like they didn't have access to extremely sensitive information. Classified is a terminology used by spy agencies and other executive branch agencies, not generally Congress, with the exception of the Intelligence Committee. Correspondence and hard drives of members of Congress are nonetheless sensitive, extremely private, and likely to contain privileged information of the utmost importance. Email need not deal with national security to open or open that member to blackmail or extortion. Staffer would need to do was threaten to release emails that were potentially embarrassing. IT staffer said any suggestion that the brothers' access didn't span the full gambit of constitutional intrigue was silly because they were the ones giving out the permissions. Hence, they guide them on everything from which computer system to purchase, constituent management system to go with, and all other related hardware purchases. Everything, and set up all accounts and grant all required permissions, staffer said, and administrative control of the members' computer operations. They then set up a remote access from wherever they are and have full access to everything on the member system. Members of Congress who employed the suspects have been fired, or what steps they've taken to examine whether their information is safe. Diana Deggett, Julia Brownlee, Karen Bass, and Ted Lieu request or refuse to say. They are ignoring the problem in hopes that it will go away, but apathy speaks to the problem. Unfortunately, as the recent election has shown, security of computer systems on the Hill is taken seriously. Article that I have for you. Once the hamster gets it up here, is off of newsnuke.com. It says, Fox News confirms President Obama wiretapped Donald Trump. Fox News has officially confirmed that President Obama did in Trump prior to election night. For 2 weeks, the media has been scrambling to find a way to pin President Trump as a liar with his allegations of being wiretapped. Sadly for them, Sean Spicer recently confirmed that there is a deep state movement against President Trump and the American people. It should come as no surprise that they are keeping close tabs on him through spying techniques. Fox News correspondent Judge Napolitano has confirmed that President Obama spied on Donald Trump this morning on Fox and Friends. And there again is the video of that. It says, instead of using United States intelligence agencies, Obama resorted to using British intelligence GSHQ as a loophole. Obama's foreign policy advisor Ben Rhodes, shortly after the allegations Trump made in regards to wiretapping. And his Ben Rhodes tweet says, no president can order wiretap put in place to protect citizens from people like you. It says, it would appear, however, that Ben Rhodes is actually very wrong. The Foreign Intelligence Surveillance and its associated FISA court, under which the alleged wiretap of Donald Trump would have been granted, as it pertained specifically to Trump's alleged illicit interactions with Russian entities. Until the Department of Justice wraps up their investigation, we will have to sit and wait until the truth comes out. The next I have is off of Western Journalism. An audio tape emerges of Ryan disparaging Trump, and there is video. Vision that scarred the 2016 presidential campaign returned to the public eye Monday as a tape surfaced of House Speaker Paul Ryan, Republican of Wisconsin, telling House members that he was done nominee Donald Trump. The comments were recorded on a conference call that took place shortly after an Access Hollywood tape was released, showing Trump making crass comments about women. The contents of the tape on Monday. Ryan spokesman Brendan Buck told Breitbart via email that of this history, and obviously a lot has happened since then. Buck noted that Ryan's comments were specifically about the Access Hollywood tapes in response to that, but as everyone knows, they came together toward the end of the campaign, and the speaker vocally supported him and even campaigned with Pence. 10th 2016 call, as reported by Breitbart, Ryan explained his stance on Trump. Comments are not anything in keeping with our party's principles and values. Things that I want to make really clear. As for myself, I'm not going to defend Donald Trump, not now, not in the future, Ryan said, noting that he had withdrawn an invitation to campaign with Trump. I have real concerns with our nominee, that he believed his course was right thing for the House GOP, not just himself. Time on campaigning for House Republicans, he said, later adding, to everyone on this call, be a turbulent month. Ryan said House Republicans were free to do what they pleased in regards to Trump, but with respect to Donald Trump, I would encourage you to do what you think is best and do. Personally, you need to decide what's best for you. Don't know what's best for you where you are, he said. Paul Ryan also affirmed his opposition to Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton, but the last thing I want to do is help Hillary Clinton get a presidency and get Congress. Look, she's a failed progressive. She's running an Abysmal campaign. I mean, it's amazing how easily she could be beaten. Democrats could not be allowed to control Congress, Ryan said. That's why I'm going to spend the rest of this month fighting for Congress, fighting for our majorities, Ryan continued. I'm going to spend the next 28 days working hard with all of our members to get reelected because we need a check on Hillary Clinton if Donald Trump and Mike Pence don't win the presidency. Closed with one further comment about Trump. His commitments are indefensible. They're not in keeping with our principles, so I'm not going to try to defend him. I'm going to focus on Congress. I'm going to focus on upholding our values, he said. The next article I have is off of BizPac Review. As Trump finally hits the UN, Americans can't wait to see plan in action. President Donald Trump is making good on his promise to put America first by directing a major cut to United Nations funding. The administration has instructed the State Department to cut more than 50% of U.S. funding to United Nations programs, according to Foreign Policy. It's about $10 billion a year on the United Nations. The 2018 budget proposal prepared by the White House Office of Management and Budget is scheduled to be released Thursday. Include 37% budget cut to the State Department, the U.S. Agency for International Development budgets, assistance programs, including the UN. It is not yet clear if the proposed budget to be released Thursday will reflect full extent of the UN cuts, or, as Secretary of State Rex Tillerson has proposed, the reductions would be phased in over the next 3 years. States Bureau of International Organization Affairs, UNICEF, and the UN Development Program could feel the greatest impact of the proposed cuts, but whether the other programs funded out of separate accounts in the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the State Department, like the World Food Program and the UN refugee operations, will be affected remains unclear. UN expert at the European Council on Foreign Relations said cuts of this level would spark chaos if true. With the U.S. providing $1.5 billion of the UN Refugee Agency's $4 billion budget last year, Gowan said the cuts would leave a gaping hole that other big donors would struggle to fill. Multiply that across other humanitarian agencies like the World Food Program, and talking about the international humanitarian system as we know it, he told the Foreign Policy. But the slash in funding is aimed to offset Trump's projected $54 billion increase in defense spending following the president's promise to strengthen America's military. While Nikki Haley, the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, has cautioned against drastic cuts, she is reportedly reviewing the UN's peacekeeping missions to see if she can find room for cuts. Twitter users applauded the decision, and some thought the cuts were not steep enough. And there is a list of tweets if you want to pull them up and take a look at that. And I agree, I don't think it's deep enough, but we'll see how this all pans out. The next one here is off of Liberty Writers. It says, "This is huge. Politicians in shock at what Trump did to the U.S. debt in only 50 days. Has done something amazing. He's reduced the U.S. debt by more than $60 billion since the inauguration. The day that Trump was elected, the U.S. debt was $19,047 billion. On March the 8th, a month later, the U.S. debt was at $19,879 billion. That means that Trump has cut the U.S. debt burden by $68 billion in 50 days. And there is a chart here that they have put in. It says, check this out. And it has the dates. It has the debt held by the public. It has the intergovernmental holdings. It has the total public debt outstanding and the increase, decrease in billions, and the percent of decrease. If you want to pull it up and take a look at that chart. I'm not going to read all those figures because it wouldn't make any sense just to read it. You almost have to look at it. In Obama's first 50 days through March the 8th of 2009, Obama increased the U.S. debt by 3.1% during his $1 trillion stimulus bill. This was a huge failure. Obama's first year as president ran at a first-year deficit of $1.4 trillion. Obama doubled the U.S. debt as president, and he is going down in history as one of the worst presidents financially for this country. And there is another chart that shows Obama's. It says 1 month after the Trump inauguration, U.S. debt was down $12 billion, and it's now down $68 billion, according to Gateway Pundit. Under Trump, the stock market is booming, jobs are increasing, salaries are increasing, and debt is going down. We cannot stop winning. We were winning so much, look what CNN was forced to do this week, and there's a video here that says a CNN host eats human brain at cannibal barbecue in India. If you want to take a look at that, you can pull that up and take a look at that. Western journalism. It says budget chief says Obama was manipulating unemployment numbers. Oh, duh. The director of the Office of Management and Budget on Sunday indicated that Obama administration manipulated the monthly unemployment report in order to make the economy look healthier than it actually was. What you should really look at is the number of jobs created, Mick Mulvaney said on CNN after a Friday report showed the economy generated 235,000 jobs in February. So in this, if you want to pull it up and see it. It says, we've thought for a long time, I did, that the Obama administration was manipulating the numbers in terms of the number of people in the workforce to make that percentage rate look smaller than it actually was, he said. Mulvaney said that the measure known as U6 issued by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which includes unemployed Americans who have not sought work in up to a year, is a truer measure of unemployment. U6 tends to run about 5 to 7 points higher than the more widely quoted unemployment rate, which was 4.7% in February. Trump was skeptical about the unemployment number, noting that even as the Obama administration cited low unemployment rates, millions of Americans were without jobs. A brief moment of levity Friday when the White House press secretary Sean Spicer talked about the February job report. I talked to the president prior to this, and he said, to quote him very clearly, Spicer said, they may have been phony, but it's very real now. In a more serious vein, Spicer noted that the report was a positive. During the first full month of the Trump presidency, the economy added 235,000 new jobs, he said. The unemployment rate, labor force participation rate ticked up, showing that even as more people are re-entering the job market due to the economic optimism that I spoke about, businesses are continuing to grow and create new jobs, Spicer said. Although Spicer said that unemployment numbers rise and fall, February's job growth was unique because it is accompanied by a new wave of enthusiasm and optimism. I've ever seen the number of CEOs and businesses come out and talk about investments and continuing investment and the expansion of investments or hiring based and agenda of an administration the way they have in this one, he said. I think if you look at the automakers, the other manufacturers, and frankly some of the service industries that have come out and talked about the investment that they're going to make, of a project that they had going, or the movement of one, manufacturing plant or job investment, those speak for themselves, he said. It's not a question of what we believe. I think it's a question of the commitment that the U.S. manufacturers and job creators and businesses want to buy into the president's agenda and vision for creating more business-friendly environment to grow here. And I think that those speak for themselves, Spicer said. As far as I'm concerned, I'm kind of leery due to the fact that how do they come up with all these jobs, all these retailers shutting down businesses, filing bankruptcy, stores, malls going under, or retail is going to hell in a handbasket because people don't have money to spend. They don't have money to spend because they don't have jobs. So I have trouble believing all of this. Time will tell. Um, Comments. Um, the next one here is off of BizPack Review. It says the amount Obama spent on a blitz to promote failed Obamacare just before his exit is obscene. Dollars mean little to someone who didn't actually struggle to earn them. The Obama administration spent in excess of $77 million in advertising to hype the Affordable Care Act, sources reveal in the New York Post. And the funds were spent during the 2016 election to combat Republican promise to repeal the struggling program commonly called Obamacare long after it was enacted. Way to Democratic-leaning PR firm Weber Shadwick, which received 74.15 million on July the 28th, an additional 3.69 million on September the 9th of 2016 to promote the program pursuant to its federal contract. $78 million spent, $64 million was dedicated to a TV, radio, and digital advertising blitz, with the remainder going into creative development and production, direct response marketing, campaign strategy, branding, and the encouragement of small businesses to enroll in Obamacare. The official dismissed the previous administration's efforts of throwing good money after bad. Tens of millions in hard-earned taxpayer funds spent on TV ads won't sell a fundamentally flawed approach to health care, the official told the Post, which reported Chadwick contract was signed by Pam Jenkins, president of the firm. Its chairman, Jack Leslie, was picked by Obama in 2009 to be chairman of the U.S. African Development Foundation. Leslie donated $1,000 to Obama's 2012 re-election campaign and $2,700 in December to 2015 to Hillary Clinton's failed presidential campaign. This revelation comes as conservatives and establishment Republican lawmakers continue to battle over the proper course to repeal and replace the now entrenched law. Speaking on behalf of conservatives, Senator Tom Cotton urged his colleagues in the House to get it right, don't get it fast. Although the House bill lacks provisions important to conservatives, such as tort reform and the ability to purchase insurance across state lines, Health and Human Services Secretary Tom Price, a physician informer, the proposal. I firmly believe that nobody will be worse off financially in the process that we're going through, Price said on NBC's Meet the Press Sunday, understanding that they'll have choices, that they can select the kind of coverage that they want for themselves and their family, not the government forces them to buy. Meanwhile, a lot of folks were up in arms over the previous administration's spent 77 million plus to promote the failed program in 2016. And there's a bunch of tweets in this if you want to pull that up and read those. I have is off of Natural News, and it says, expert, 60% of pro-Obamacare comments are posted by paid trolls. Well, go figure. That's what they do, isn't it? Is buy everything. Paul Bedard reports for Washington Examiner that according to the digital expert Michael Brown, social media is used to manipulate opinion, which is proven in the past presidential election, and that a majority of online social media defenders of Obamacare are paid professionals. By social media, Brown means Facebook pages, as well as comment sections in every major newspaper. Brown's shocking analysis was revealed on Full Measure with Cheryl Atkinson, which was broadcast on Sinclair stations and streamed live on February the 19th of 2017. Brown evaluated 226,000 pro-Obamacare posts made by 40,000 Facebook profiles and discovered that 60% of all the posts were made from 100 profiles posting between the hours of 9 and 5 Pacific time. This means that the posters were paid to post. These digital activists are paid employees. Their purpose is to attack anyone who's posting something contrary to the view of the page owner once expressed. So imagine that. Lots of comments and stuff after this. You want to pull that one up and see it. So that's all I have for you this morning. I hope you have a great day. Leave a thumbs up if you like what I'm doing. Share it on your social media so everybody gets to hear the news. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done that, and that way you'll stay informed. Have a great day.